Tim Ryan was the recruiting director for a Chicago consulting company, and he founded a multi-million-dollar executive search firm. He was also a drug addict.
People have this misconception that an opiate addict is the homeless person on the corner with the brown paper bag. That's 5%. The average opiate addict is a 22-year-old white middle-class male and a 23-year-old white middle-class female. The disease of addiction does not discriminate.
After using for years, he caught his son using heroin and opiates and joined him.
My son and I, that's how we bonded. Nick and I bonded by doing drugs every day.
Then for Tim came addiction, prison, and sobriety. For his son Nick, a cycle of addiction, jail, rehab, and relapse. On the day Tim recorded his 21st month of sobriety, Nick suffered a fatal overdose.
The doctor took me to the room right next to where we were, and I walked in there, and to see my 20-year-old son's cold, blue, lifeless body just laying there with a sheet up to his chest, and he still had the device in his mouth where they were trying to aspirate him. I mean, tears just started flowing down.
Now, with his wife, former supermodel Jennifer Jimenez, he helps former addicts through their substance abuse program, Dope to Hope. Often, users begin with legally prescribed painkillers after an injury. Then when those run out, they move on to heroin or fentanyl, a powerful and dangerous synthetic opioid bought from street corner drug dealers. For too many opioid users, the journey through addiction ends like this.
John, can you hear me?
An overdose on a street corner. The lucky ones survive to end up here in the emergency room, now seeing more opioid overdoses than ever. Overdoses are up 55% in 2020 compared to 2019.
Black people and inner city people have a more challenging time recovering because the drug is so available in their communities.
One opioid manufacturer, OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma, has acknowledged its role in the opioid epidemic. The company has paid $634 million in fines and pleaded guilty to contributing to thousands of opioid deaths, now surging as the pandemic drives many back to drugs.
They need purpose and connection. They need that human interaction. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going back to abusing and using opiates. And when you're messing with opiates, you're going to die.
It is an epidemic growing within a pandemic as the number of fatal opioid overdoses continues to rise. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Chicago.
Let's take a closer look at the Sacklers. Forbes magazine estimates the family fortune to be worth more than $10 million. It dates back to 1952 when three brothers bought the company that would become Purdue Pharma. It went on to produce the prescription painkiller OxyContin in the 1990s, earning the Sacklers billions of dollars. Over the years, the family became known as philanthropists, giving millions of dollars to the arts. Many of those cultural institutions have since distanced themselves from the family, but they've continued to argue that they served as only passive board members. Heidi Jo Castro joins me now live from Capitol Hill. Heidi, why, after Purdue Pharma settled out of court and accepted its role in the opioid crisis, are the Sacklers being questioned by a congressional committee now?
Well, Kim, many are saying that although the settlement we saw in November was pretty big by normal people's standards, $225 million paid out by the Sackler family, that in fact that's only a drop in the bucket in this family's vast wealth that accumulated at the cost of more than 400,000 lives, the people who have died as a result of the opioid crisis. In fact, $225 million is just 2% of this family's net worth. And another criticism that the settlement received is that it essentially allows the sale of OxyContin to continue even today. Purdue Pharma agreed to go into bankruptcy, and that also was to forego what potentially could have been $2 billion worth of penalties that the company did not have to pay. And so Democrats in Congress, as well as many states that are suing the company, said that this was not a fair deal at all. And in fact, the family has to this day not acknowledged any wrongdoing or liability. That was a protection that they earned as part of the settlement with the Department of Justice. And Democrats are saying that simply was unfair. And today we are expecting for the first time to see two members of the family appear remotely before this congressional hearing. Expect their feet to be held to the fire. They're appearing begrudgingly under threat of subpoena, and the CEO of Purdue Pharma will be testifying as well. And his testimony expected to address some of these ongoing lawsuits that the company continues to face at a cost of some $10 billion that states and local communities have suffered as a result of this opioid crisis. Kim.
We will be staying across that hearing, of course. For now, Heidi Jo Castro, thank you.